What's up, agents? How the hell y'all doing? Happy Halloween. Well, hopefully most of you had a good Halloween and are getting off into what's hoping to be a good holiday season for everybody. Alright, so today I wanted to revisit the build that apparently pisses off the PC, the computer snipers, you know, the guys with the mouse and keyboards. Nothing against you guys, but I wish I could have found it. I looked for it. There's a guy who's basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, dude, there's those of us who know how to run sniper builds. Dude, that's our job, and we don't need you doing our job, and stick to other skill builds. Have you ever tried running a sniper build on the console? I mean, you can do it, but do you know anybody that does that shit in Legendary? Do me a favor, if you guys know of anybody who runs a dedicated sniper build and there's some footage, please link it in the comments to a dedicated sniper doing Union District Arena, Capitol Building, or Roosevelt Island. Legendary, dude, that would be amazing. I've seen rifle builds and the dudes using the focus builds with a rifle, but not a marksman rifle. So if you know any of that, dude, let me know, because that would be awesome. So the whole idea about this build, this is a long range and area of effect build. So we're going to be utilizing the sniper turret and the cluster seeker mines. We'll be using the hardwire set so that we can use the feedback loop with the short circuit to have cluster mines almost every 10 seconds. We'll be able to do massive damage against standard mobs. With that, we'll be able to do direct damage with the sniper turret, and against bosses where we have time and we can line up the headshots with our sniper, we can do even bigger damage. Alright, before getting into build, do me a favor. If you like my content, smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hopefully by the end of this, I will have earned your subscription. Best thing you can do to help my channel is just share the video. Yeah, well, let's get into the build. Alright, so we're going to be running the Technician. This will give us the amp for the +1 skill tier. This will let you run an additional weapon core or armor core. I always choose to run the armor core for a little more survivability. This will give us the Faraday field, since we will be posting up the turret and taking it down every 2 to 3 shots anyway. We're going to always have the Faraday field on us. We're going to be doing that to get more shots out and to make sure that we're reblocking our cluster mines as often as possible. We are going to have the dismantling perk. This says it's a 12% damage bonus basically against any inorganic material. Even after diminishing returns, it's only at about 5%, but that is a 5% bonus to certain things. So obviously you want dismantling. We're going to go with overclock CPU. This will give us the +10% bonus skill damage. I don't know why you would want the skill repair in a build that doesn't have repair, but hey, that's up to you. Another key thing, depending on the weapon combination you use, is the link laser pointer, which can help to pulse targets. This lets you keep an eye on them. It's harder to be flanked when you know where dudes are at. And in case anybody in the group, or for some reason you choose to go with the spotter perk, this will allow you to do a 15% multiplicative damage bonus. So I won't go over that when we go over the chest talents, but do keep in mind with this build and the link laser pointer, you could go with spotter. Hey, it's great. And finally, with the Technician, we get the MIRV launcher, which I really dig for those pesky little snipers that are posted up in a position where I can't quite snipe them, I can't quite get my cluster mines in there, and they keep ducking behind cover. Generally firing off a MIRV or two in that general area, the explosive area of effect will tend to take out snipers for me. Alright, so that takes us to the gear. The gear and brand sets is pretty easy. We, of course, are going to be running 4-piece hardwire to give us some skill haste, some skill damage. Most importantly, it will give us the feedback loop. Feedback loop would normally give us our cooldown every 20 seconds. Because we are using the backpack with short circuit, that will reduce it to 10 seconds. And because we are using enough skill haste to get our cluster seeker mines down to 31.1 second. That means there's basically a 1.1 second layover time that we have to wait. What you got to do is figure out, can you get off 2 or 3 sniper shots within that time before having to take your turret down to put it up for the next one? Generally, I will just take 2 shots, but it really depends on the situation. And sometimes, you know, the game just lags. It lags a little too hard. So you'll figure it out, not a big deal. On all these pieces, we of course are going to have skill damage, and then in the slots where, like the chest piece, and if you run 2 high ends, the chest and then which other slot. It doesn't really matter. The only two slots that matter is your high end on your chest for a talent, and then the short circuit backpack. Your mask, your holster, and your knees, and your gloves are all interchangeable with high ends depending on where your best gear is. So that being said, we will run skill haste mods on everything. For the first high end piece, we're going to go with Wyvern, of course, and this will give us the plus 10% skill damage. We are running Glass Cannon, of course, for the maximum amount of damage all the time. Realize we take 50% bonus damage from everything all the time. So that is the caveat, but this is the most damage you can get out of this. If you run a different perk, let me know down below. Now, if you are going to be running 2 high-end gear instead of running an exotic, what you could do is run hana-u. This will give you skill haste and skill damage. Another combination that I really like, so that you don't have to roll one of your other pieces to armor, you could run 1 Wyvern and 1 Bellstone Armory. Bellstone Armory naturally comes with armor as its core attribute. This gives you plus 1% armor regen and will very easily complement some bonus healing, some survivability, and this works great in conjunction with one of the weapons we're going to talk about to get additional healing back. But if you're running this build solo, one of the best things you could do for survivability is just to run 1 Bellstone Armory. That brings us to what if you want to run an exotic, you would run the Wyvern in conjunction with the Waveform holster. This is because it still gives us the skill haste and the skill damage. In addition, we get the alternating current, which will, what it will end up doing is giving us a 30% bonus to either one of these skills, but that fluctuates back and forth between the 2 skills, which ultimately nets us a 15% damage bonus that we otherwise could not get, so why not go with it? Next, we'll talk about weapons. So, as always, you agents need to use whatever weapon feels the best for you. If you're going to do that, you're going to use something we're not talking about here. I would recommend going with In Sync as the primary talent. But the 2 combinations that I would recommend running, and both of these 2 I would run with the backup boomstick with Future Perfect. You could use whatever sidearm you want, but Future Perfect gives you a chance to proc and overcharge. I don't actually use this very often. You won't see it in any of my gameplay, but it's nice to know that it's there, and it looks pretty cool in the build. So the first option, the one that I recommend running for most mobbing and gameplay, is the capacitor and the mob. This will give you the plus 12% damage to armor from the capacitor. It will give you a bunch of bonus weapon damage from the 7.5 per skill tier utility that you have, as well as stacking up to 40 stacks at 1.5% skill damage, up to a 60% bonus. So this can be up to a 60% damage bonus by ramping this up, as well as letting you do some actual weapon damage to the enemies with a nice fully automatic weapon. I think the capacitor is the best weapon for almost every skill build in the game. The other weapon we would run it with would be the mop. We'd run it with the mop because the mop comes with a 10% armor on kill. It comes with plus 12% damage to armor, so we don't lose any DPS with this. And it takes the link laser pointer, which helps me to, again, pulse any target that I aim at that's within range. Helps me to keep an eye on them. And it's easier to make those headshots when I know exactly where to aim at their head. We're going to run In Sync on this. It's versus the perfect version. This is only 15% times 2, so 30% damage to skills and weapon damage. Unlike the capacitor, this is instantaneous, lasts for 5 seconds, and refreshes upon another hit from either the skills or ourselves. So this is a very easy bonus to maintain. Much easier to stack up than the capacitor, but the capacitor does have a higher end damage total. So you can use the capacitor against bosses, any juggernaut tanks, the war dogs, anything like that, where you, of course, are going to be able to get a full mag into them, get all your stacks stacked up. Otherwise, you could just run around with the standard In Sync to have a quick bonus all the time. So that takes us to the second combination I recommend running, and that would be to run the Scorpio for crowd control. This is a better combination in a group because you can crowd control guys, which then allows the teammates, in addition to your sniper and your cluster mines, to take down enemies that are stunned in place. Also, it's a lot harder for them to dodge your cluster mines when they're stuck in place. The Scorpio has that plus 12% damage to armor, so this will also buff the Seeker Mine damage. Now, I would run the test subject in conjunction with the Scorpio. This is because it gives us the full 40% damage bonus you can get from perfectly in sync, since at that point I wouldn't be worried about pulsing targets. This would be more for an end boss or group activity, and like I said, the Scorpio would actually work better. You don't have the option on that. So test subject for more damage, Scorpio for crowd control. Those are the two combinations I'd run. All right, let's quickly talk about the skills. Nothing new. Everybody knows what these do. The cluster mines, we have a 31.1 second cooldown, so this is right where I like it. Test out your cooldown on your mines along with your turret and see. Sometimes it's better to only be able to take 2 shots. Sometimes you can have it set up so you can take 3 shots with the turret before your mines are within the range where you can effectively use hardwire again. So play with it, see how that works out for you. In this iteration, our cluster mines have a 31.1 second cooldown. We put out 10 mines thanks to a +1 cluster mine mod. We're running 2 damage mods on this as well. The base damage without the waveform is 2.54 million, and we get up to just over 2.9 million damage when we have the full waveform buff on the cluster mines. This will decimate battlefields. This is great. Next, we got the sniper turret. The sniper turret comes with 16 shots and 11.6 second cooldown. Neither of those really matters, kind of moot, considering we're going to be taking our turret off the shelf every 2 to 3 shots. So don't worry about this. The only time it matters is somehow, you get it into a spot where you can't pick it up and you have to blow it up, and then you're waiting on it. And oftentimes you'll just have your cluster mines. You can wait on your cluster mines for a couple seconds to reset your turret if you want to do that. Generally, by the time you do that, the turret's back anyway. I mean, hell, the cooldown's only 11.6 seconds. So you notice the base damage is 2.9 million. This ramps up to almost 3.3 million by the time we have the whole waveform bonus stacked up on this. All right, so we're using 1 damage mod. We're using a 1 bonus shot mod because we don't have anything better in the slot. And we're using a skill haste mod. Really, the only trick on this is you want to make sure when you're running solo, you don't get flanked. Well, you don't want to get flanked, period. You just want to make sure that you put yourself on an elevated, covered position. Try to get it to where you're highly protected, and just start wrecking shop. One thing I note, the main thing that I have to worry about with this build is, as I alluded to, getting flanked. And the other thing is rushers, particularly the one with the shields. Right as the rusher comes at me, I roll backwards and then hope my sniper turret will shoot them in the back. It usually will, and even if it doesn't get the kill, oftentimes they will get stunned by the shot, which will allow me to relocate and hopefully let the sniper turret finish them off with the second shot. If there's 2 or more rushers, you just do the best you can do and hope you're not in hardcore mode. All right, so I'm going to let a little bit of gameplay play out. I'll be right back. Do me a favor, smash the like on this video if you dug the video. We'll be back in just a moment. Oh, dude, hardwire. Hello?
signs critical.
Dude, go! Seeker mines, go! Alright, so as you can see, it's super powerful build, super easy to use. You just got to dial it in, see what works best for you. Do me a favor, if you don't like glass cannon, tell me what you like, what works for you, what's the best thing you got. Do you like Overwatch, giving the team that team buff? Do you like using Spotter to get that 1.15 multiplicative damage bonus without taking the extra damage of glass cannon? You know, I know that there's plenty of different options, and I'd be interested to see what you guys use. So let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, agents. You all take it easy. Be as safe as you need to be out there, and I'll catch you in the dark zone.